Ladies and gentlemen, this is really important, and I don't usually care about polls, but when it comes to favorability polls, those are better than who will you vote for in November a year from now. Those types of polls are better. Some surveys or polls are better than others, but this is CNBC. It's like the hearings have never happened. A new poll shows voters still divided on impeachment. This is a catastrophe for Democrats. This is a complete and utter political failure. They have every single advantage, from the media to Hollywood to the Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, pretty much every major newspaper in the country, almost every major newspaper. 48% of the country is still against the president's impeachment. 47% support it, but think of it this way. This is like a favorability poll, like a favorability poll in aggregate. You're talking about a country that is constantly inundated with news about how horrible President Trump is. The fact that the average American citizen doesn't care about the media is beautiful. Looks at the record low unemployment, record low Black and Latino unemployment, jobs that have job numbers that have consistently beat expectations. You can look at record highs in the stock market. You can look at a scaled back U.S. foreign policy. Instead of constant interventions, like that failed NATO intervention that destroyed Libya under President Obama, or the endless quagmires and failed foreign policy objectives of Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, where we sent hundreds of thousands of Americans overseas to sacrifice for this country. Their families also sacrificed, and it was all based on one of the biggest intelligence failures. The two biggest we've ever had are Vietnam and Bush's failed interventions. And those are intelligence failures. Now the Democratic Party says, well, an intelligence operative got word of Trump's phone call with the Ukraine, and he was trying to use the office to investigate Biden, which would somehow, derail the No Malarkey bus tour. Clinton's going to be nominee anyway. I called that in 2017 in the Huffington Post. The article is below. Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. Please share that on social media. If you want to support my voice, my Patreon link is below. Definitely subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. But if you really, really want to support my voice, just share that article. Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. It's in the pinned comment. Just read down a little bit. You'll see all my writing, a lot of my writing at least, and you'll see that article. But when 48% of the country is against the president's impeachment, while 47% support it, according to NPR PBS, quote, it's like the hearings have never happened. This didn't, and so... And then it said the director of the Marist Institute for Public Opinion, the arguments have only served to reinforce existing views, and everyone is rooting for their side. This is horrendous. This is horrible. This is the worst thing that could ever have happened to the Democratic Party, aside from losing again in 2020 with Clinton. But you have more Americans who are against impeachment than who favor it. That's with never-ending media spin. That's with a constant barrage of negative press. Even you have Fox News, and that's it. And you don't even have all of Fox News. And you have certain conservative publications, that's true, but the majority of the media isn't wearing a MAGA hat. The majority of the media is saying Trump is going to usher in the end of the universe. You still have more Americans. You still have more Americans against impeachment, but Democrats already cheated Bernie Sanders. They already showed their hand. They can't bluff anymore. The only thing the House has actually achieved under Democrats is they're going to impeach the president, like Wednesday or Thursday. And then the trial will be the third. The trial will be January 3rd. Yeah, beginning of January. So they're not going to. The trial's going to be. That's the Republican. Those are the Republicans who are going to fight back during the trial. They're going to ask Adam Schiff, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the intelligence official that blew the whistle, all of these things. They're going to ask all of these people to testify. And I wouldn't doubt them. I wouldn't doubt McConnell and Republicans issuing a subpoena to all of these people, because that would be absolutely hilarious. And then, of course, they won't show up. That will show that they don't have an argument, because if you really believe that Biden is pure as the driven snow, then he should show up. He should testify. I mean, that's the whole issue. So, this kind of long lead-in, 6 minutes into, you can just tell us, people, if they don't want to wait 6 minutes, just, click 6 minutes in. They want Joe Biden to testify. They've stated that numerous times. But you have a situation where Joe Biden is not going to testify. He needs to, because the whole thing is about him. The whole thing, ladies and gentlemen, is about Joe Biden. So Joe Biden, Senate trial, there's a whole bunch of articles that he won't testify, he's not going to testify. I love Joe Biden, but none of us are above scrutiny. Joe Biden, ABC News, Joe Biden says he will not appear at a Senate impeachment trial, despite demands from Trump. Well, if they issue a demand in the form of a formal demand from the Senate, what's he going to do? Biden won't voluntarily testify in Trump's impeachment trial. Here's what that means. What that means is that's the final straw. If you don't have Biden testify when this entire thing is about him, it's not about Trump. Trump wanted the Ukraine to investigate Biden and Hunter Biden, mainly because Biden is on video saying that he fired a prosecutor and he withheld $1 billion until that prosecutor was fired. The issue is that his son, the corporation that was funneling money to his son, was being investigated by the Ukraine itself, by the prosecutor that Biden was bragging about firing. Marie Yovanovitch, the impeachment witness, she should testify also in the Senate. They asked her. They said, "Well, do you have any evidence? Do you have any?" Oh, they haven't. Well, nobody had any evidence, but they asked her, "Well, did you hear about anything about the vice president's son?" At first, she said, "No, I didn't hear anything." Then she said, "Well, yeah, they gave me talking points." Then she said, "Well, yeah, they gave me talking points." So, I mean, it's game, set, match. They gave me talking points in case they asked about Hunter Biden. That's it. That's it. He has conflicts of interest. He's not going to go under oath to talk about those conflicts of interest. If he's pure as the driven snow and there's no issue at all, and this thing is an absolute fantasy, then he could just, testify. You're being unfair. If there's no conflicts of interest, if there's no issue, if there's no reason for the president of the United States to want to investigate, then anyone would go on trial and say, hey, you know what? This guy is full of it. In addition to the fact that what was this person's name? Chalupa, something. I forgot her exact name, but there's a DNC official. They should demand a formal demand to testify. This is a DNC official that was written about in Politico in 2017 that reached out to the Ukraine to find dirt on Manafort and Trump. What happens when the officials at the DNC are issued a subpoena to testify at the Senate trial? What about the alleged person who blew the whistle? Yeah, right. The intelligence operative that John Brennan loves. When John Brennan loves you, you're not doing something for the country. You're doing something for the interests of a certain government agency or the Democratic Party. That's it. So Democrats have convinced themselves that oh my God, this is, what's happened to our country. They've been the establishment for a long time. And the establishment, whether it's an establishment Democrat or Republican, Hillary Clinton voted for Bush's endless quagmires. They're two sides of the same coin. Suddenly Trump comes in, he obliterates, he basically upends the apple cart. He's completely different. He's completely different in every way. He wants to scale back U.S. foreign policy. He goes after Comey, Strzok, McCabe, and Clapper because they set him up. This is the first time, and William Barr stated this, and I have been stating this for a long time. William Barr just stated this recently in an interview. It's the first time ever that the United States intelligence community has been utilized against a presidential candidate that won. President Obama's intelligence community was utilized against Trump. Now, imagine if Bush did that to President Obama. Imagine if Clinton did that to Bush. We can go on forever. We've had a peaceful transition of power from Washington until President Obama. And that ended with Trump. That's not a peaceful transition of power. That is utilizing, politicizing agencies that shouldn't be utilized in that manner. That's the 18 U.S. Code, the 371 statute that I talk about in the Federalist. You can click on my name, the Federalist author page, and one of the articles, it talks about how Comey and McCabe should be charged, and all of them should be charged under that statute that I just mentioned, because they utilized government agencies to defraud the United States of America. The Russians didn't interfere in the election. Not one study has been done talking about the Facebook ads that swung swing states. It never happened. You can say, well, a lot of people. Yeah, have you ever met anyone that saw a Facebook ad? So, then when you kind of corner people, Democrats, I'm with her crowd, liberals, a lot of progressives too believe this. I don't know why. You say, well, how did Russia interfere? Well, it was sophisticated and they hacked the DNC. Okay, well, what did the DNC emails say? Bernie Sanders was cheated. Okay. Then now what? Oh, well, if Facebook ads must have affected somebody, well, then find the person. Because Clinton won the popular vote. So how sophisticated and widespread was this assault on our democracy? She won the popular vote. They don't make any sense. And people just go with it. Oh, yeah, comrade. It's like they're the ones who presided. That administration, President Obama's administration, presided over the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. What do you build with uranium? What's worse, Facebook ads or uranium? Who do you think Putin? You think Putin really fears Clinton? Why? Because she likes NATO? Trump isn't pulling out of NATO. Frankly, I think we should pull out of NATO. I really do. NATO is a Cold War relic. Why do you need it? Everyone has their own defense budget with completely different military objectives and goals. Maybe you could say, well, we have similar here and there, but they have individual defense budgets for a reason. Why would you need NATO? NATO was created to go up against the USSR. After the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Soviet Union dissolved, you don't need NATO. Then you get interventions like Libya. So that should not happen. That should not happen. But the notion that Russia could invade Europe, that is also absurd. They would never do that. They don't have the economy to do that. And they can't militarily. So why would you need NATO? Anyway, the point is this. They're going to ask Joe Biden to testify. It's going to be hilarious. It's going to pave the way for Clinton. Clinton is going to be nominee. We know this. Now, this whole impeachment thing is absolutely, if it was done, if it was the brainchild of Madam Secretary, if it was the equivalent of the Steele dossier, that then we wasted, 2 years of U.S. history with the Mueller probe, which was nonsense. They found nobody who colluded, found no evidence of collusion, and they didn't even use the Mueller probe. Within the articles of impeachment, because they had nothing. they just had nothing. So, they're going to ask Biden. He's going to not testify. That is going to be a cause célèbre. That will be more people now will oppose removal. If Biden is not testifying, and the entire basis of impeachment is that there's no reason for Trump to go after Biden, and he doesn't want to testify and defend himself and his son, that's all you need to know. There goes his campaign. Campaign's already over. He fought cornflakes. He's talking about lotion on his leg hairs, all that stuff. It's done. Give me your thoughts below. This impeachment is going to seal the deal. Not for Trump. Trump's going to be actually bolstered by everything. And all the people who were against impeachment are now unified around Trump. He's fighting a corrupt system, ladies and gentlemen. That's why people love him. Give me your thoughts below. They want Biden. He ain't going to testify. This is going to help Trump. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now.